You know the feeling. When there's two paths in front of you, you can see both of them clearly. But that's the problem. Choosing one means the other disappears. And what if you chose wrong? So you don't choose. You wait. You call it thinking. You call it being careful. You call it not being ready yet. And the days pass, and the waiting becomes a month, and the month becomes who you are. But then one night, someone came. Nobody knows who he is, but people say he appears when you've been standing still for too long, when life is waiting for you to move, and you haven't. He doesn't come to the certain ones. He comes to the ones at the crossroads, the ones who can see exactly where they could go, but haven't moved in months, maybe even years. No explanation, no origin, no name. Just the feeling when you wake up that something was there and that it mattered. He was just sitting there, across from you in the dream. No introduction, no explanation, just present. You waited for him to speak. He didn't. So you did. You told him about the two paths, about watching everyone else seem to know exactly where they're going, while you stand at the same crossroads, feeling stuck, confused, month after month. He listened. That was all. Like this was exactly where he was supposed to be. And then you woke up. He came back. Not every night, but enough. And every time it's always the same thing. He sat, you talked. The same fears in a slightly different order. What if I choose wrong? What if it doesn't work? What if I get there and realize I picked the wrong life? He never responded, never nodded, never shook his head, never gave you anything to hold on to, just silence. But you started to notice something. Every visit, same fears, same words. You had said everything you were afraid of so many times you had started to memorize the shape of your own paralysis. And one night, mid-sentence, you stopped. Because you realized he wasn't waiting to speak. He was waiting for you to hear yourself. The answer was never missing. It had always been coming out of your own mouth every single visit. You knew what you wanted. You had always known. You just needed someone to stay quiet long enough for you to stop talking over your own answer. All that waiting, all that careful thinking, all that not being ready yet. It wasn't patience. It was fear. But you just gave it a nicer name. You were waiting for certainty, for a sign, for permission, for someone to tell you the path you wanted was the right one before you even walked into it. But here's what you never said out loud. What if it doesn't work? What if it works? What if you chose the wrong thing? What if you chose the right thing? The fear wasn't just failure. It was everything. And you had been calling it thinking. He stopped coming. No final visit, no goodbye. Just one night the dream was empty, and the next, and the next. You woke up. Same crossroads, same two paths, same two decisions, same feeling in your chest. But something was different. You could see it now. What you had actually been doing all those months of waiting. Every time you didn't choose was still a choice. You chose safety. You chose comfort. You chose the feeling of both paths over the reality of one. And that choice had been making itself, quietly, every single day, without you ever admitting it was yours. Here's the thing about Crossroads. The wrong path walked still takes you somewhere. It changes you in ways no amount of thinking ever could. But standing still, it doesn't take you anywhere. It just passes. You don't need to be certain. You don't need a sign. You don't need to know how it ends before you begin. You just need to pick one and walk. So you choose, not because you're ready, not because it's safe, but because the only thing worse than choosing wrong is spending your whole life wondering what would have happened if you just moved. Now let's go back again. You know the feeling. Two paths in front of you, two decisions. You can see both of them clearly. But this time, that's not the problem anymore.